If you're a pop culture junkie who loves TV, film, music, comedy, and other really important stuff, then you've come to the right place. Get ready and settle in for Classic Conversations, the best pop culture interviews in the world. That's right, we circled the globe so you don't have to. If you're ready to be the king of the water cooler, then you're ready for Classic Conversations with your host, Jeff Dwoskin.
All right, Jamie, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. You get the show going each and every week, and this week was no exception. Welcome, everybody, to episode 164 of Classic Conversations. As always, I am your host, Jeff Dwoskin. Great to have you back for another classic episode, and this one is extra classic. That's right, my guest today is Loretta Swit, award-winning animal activist, artist, and actress, known worldwide for her amazing, iconic role as Major Margaret Houlihan. Hot Lips is here from TV's most honored series in the world, MASH. That's right. My conversation with Loretta Swit is coming up in just a few seconds. And in these few seconds, I want to remind everyone of the awesome interview from last week. Bruce Ferber, episode 162. Bruce Ferber wrote an amazing novel recently called I Buried Paul, his love letter to the Beatles and music about a Beatles tribute band. Bruce Ferber was also the showrunner of Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Home Improvement. So many great stories with Bruce. Don't miss that episode. And right now, without further ado, let's get to Loretta Swit. We're celebrating 50 years of MASH. We also talk about her appearance on Captain Kangaroo, hanging with the captain himself, her appearance on The Muppet Show celebrating 46 years this month. We also talk about Loretta creating the character of Christine Cagney from Cagney and Lacey in the pilot episode of that series. So much more. Get ready to get your MASH on. Get ready to learn all about SwitHeart and the SwitHeart Animal Alliance. Learn how you can donate and get Loretta's amazing art book. Help prevent cruelty and end animal suffering. So much packed into one episode, huh? Let's get to it. Enjoy. All right, I am excited to introduce my next guest, two-time Emmy Award winner, actress, author, animal activist, starred as Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan on the greatest TV show ever, MASH. Welcome to the show, Loretta Swit.
Well, I'll take that introduction anytime. That was lovely. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. So happy to have you. We were just talking before the show. You were having some plane troubles, and I wanted to mention you're coming to the Motor City Comicon.
Yes, I am.
My plan is to be there, and so after we talk, we'll
Great,
meet.
so we can meet. I can have a one-on-one with you, look at you, and talk to you. It's always nice to put a face on a voice, you know?
I know. I got your face. You just don't have my face.
You ain't got my face. I got my face.
Oh, I got your face.
Yeah.
So much to talk about.
You go first. It's your nickel. You know, as they used to say when phone calls were a nickel.
Exciting enough. You'd think like MASH, that'd be like, and I was. That's where all my focus was. Then I'm like, oh, Captain Kangaroo, you were on.
I certainly was. Yes, I was on Captain Kangaroo. I sang Scarlet Ribbons. You remember that song?
No, I'm not familiar with that song, but I know you have a lovely voice.
I think it was probably Harry Belafonte, but it was a lovely tune. Also, what else did I sing? Oh, Ugly Duckling. You've got to know that, where when you sing it, you quack, you know, like a duck. I loved doing the show. It was wonderful. And eventually I got to do the Muppet Show. So I loved that kind of thing, that kind of entertainment.
I wanted to get to the Muppet Show, so don't think I wasn't fully prepared to go Muppet Show on you. But like, so did you get to know Mr. Green Jeans? That was my big question. Did you know the captain?
Of course. Oh, please. I certainly did. What a lovely man. Oh, what a lovely man. It was those kinds of shows, those intelligent young people shows are wonderful. They're challenging. They're creative. I love it.
I love it too. It's everyone has one of those shows from their childhood, and I loved growing up on Captain Kangaroo.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
the other thing, which you got a little bit ahead of me, which is great. So I'm going to lead right into
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
The Muppet Show. You were on the Muppet Show, and you sang on the Muppet Show. You were on MASH at the time. You went on the Muppet Show, and you sang
Yes.
"The Earth Moves." I feel the earth move.
I feel the earth move under my feet. The Carole King show.
Yes, Carole King. And it was so great. Did you love kind of going on the Muppet Show? Because you got to that's a whole different side here, from the Hot Lips character, right? And you got to show that you can sing. I mean, people who maybe have seen you in plays and stuff, but from MASH, this was a great opportunity to kind of.
There were also a lot of television movies that were quite a world apart from Margaret Houlihan. She was a spectacular character, and all of those characters on MASH, I think they're always going to be the one character that we're all remembered for because it was so special. Like you were saying, MASH was the greatest show. I'm not supposed to say that because I was in it, but I think I agree with you. I think it had everything. And more I'm finding out from fans that it held families together. They watched MASH together. We used to call ourselves the world's greatest babysitters, but it was okay for kids to watch MASH. We were a learning process. We weren't offensive. We didn't, you know what I'm saying. And it was good for kids to tell me as adults to say, I grew up watching your show. I've had people from foreign countries tell me with thick accents, I learned English from you, from watching you.
That must be a hoot.
Well, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I think that what has happened is we're on the air this year, 50 years. And what has happened is this incredible MASH global family has developed because those characters are so real to the public. They're so real to the audience that they feel connected like a family. I have had a lot of letters to that effect. There was one that I kept for a while. It was so moving. She was the product of a bad divorce, and her mother had to work 2 jobs. She didn't have quality time with mom. And she said, I started looking at you like my big sister. I grew up with you and you were my big sister. And the capper to that story, she became a nurse, happily married, and she's still talking about those days. That has to make me feel incredible. What a gift that MASH was to people.
That must be so heartwarming when you hear that and all these fans come up to you, because I know you get swamped at the Comicons and fan shows that you do, and you must have a million of these stories that just people just connected and resonated with you.
I love that you're doing that. Better you than me.
It's always fun when simple words can't come out of your mouth.
That depends. If you're on camera, you're an actor, it's not fun. You can do that. I love radio.
It's funny you say that because I eat Tony Pacos because of Jamie Farr and his, he would always...
see, Jamie put Toledo on the map of our nation. I mean, first of all, he's so special. He's such a great guy, and he is so unforgettable and memorable as Max Klinger, and he's adored. He has a following. I mean, people just adore him.
Yeah, he's hilarious. I love Jamie Farr. It was when I talked to Ed Asner a few months before he passed away, and Ed and Jamie Farr were planning on doing a play.
Yeah, they were going on tour with an absolutely wonderful play. Who in the world could even contemplate taking Ed Asner's place? He was one in a million. I knew him, loved him, worked with him, adored him. And Jamie is, I think, not going to do it either without Ed. So maybe they'll get 2 distinctly different actors from those people and make it work. It's a lovely play.
Oh, I can imagine. And seeing the 2 of them together would have been pretty cool.
Ed was my Franklin Roosevelt. So I had that pleasure. And he was we went to the wedding. Our director got married. We went to the wedding. And we were really good friends. And I knew Ed played the curmudgeon because he thought people expected it of him. You know, that cranky boss. I don't like your spunk. Or
Right.
he played that. He had fun with it. But to his close friends, I have to tell you, he was the tenderest. I always say juicy. He was just so tender and lovable and soft. Like nothing any of the characters he chose to play. And also as a person, his humor, he kept it in that cachet, you know. I'll always miss him. I'll always miss him. It was a big, big loss.
Yeah, it was an honor to be able to talk to him. And
oh, yeah. And fun. I bet you had a lot of fun.
I did have I had a really good time talking with him. And it's always fun too, because like, you know, for my kids, and I'm like, well, you know, my kids know and love you completely differently than I do. So it's always interesting when, you know, from Up and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, let's talk about, I have an idea. Let's talk more about Loretta Swit.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought we were. Okay. I thought that's what we were doing. Okay. Go ahead. You go.
No, I'm kidding. I didn't want to go down too much of an Ed memory lane. So many questions for you, and my time is limited. So I want to be respectful. So
okay.
And I want to fill in as many stories as I can, because I also wanted to hear what it was like hanging with Kermit and Miss Piggy.
Oh, God. It was just, you know, when I was going to point out when you were saying you were still in MASH when you flew there to do that show, to do Muppets, they put Miss Piggy in a fatigue outfit with little, little dog tags and everything. They set up this wonderful, funny rivalry that she wanted to do my part, and I wanted to do hers. It was a lark, I tell you. It was absolutely wonderful. And God, those creative people, Jim Henson and Frank Oz, and it's like taking a master class and going and having fun and doing it. It's a job, but you're growing and learning. You can't help it. They're so brilliant.
Oh yeah, it was a funny episode. I never try and miss an opportunity to rewatch an episode of the Muppet Show. So it was hilarious. You were in Pigs in Space, taking over Miss Piggy, right?
Pigs in space. Whatever. Oh, God. Laugh. Oh, my. Laugh.
But I think it's awesome, because then at the end, you got to sing with them. I think that to me is...
That was awesome. Yes. Oh, God. Side by side. We sang side by side. Oh, they were so lovely. In fact, tell you how lovely they were. They gave me one of my darling little puppies. At the time was overwhelmed by a herd of puppies, and they were Pekingese. And I had seen this beautiful little puppy in London. But at the time, it was not so easy to just scoop her up and, get papers and bring her to the States or whatever. Anyhow, they arrived at my doorstep in Los Angeles holding my little, and of course I called her Muppet. They were just the sweetest, dearest people.
That is lovely to hear. That's really cool. I just want to take a quick break. Thank everyone for their support of the show. When you support the sponsors, you're supporting us here at Classic Conversations, and that's how we keep the lights on. And now back to my amazing conversation with Loretta Swit. We're about to talk about her creating the role of Christine Cagney. And we're back. All right, I got one more.
Moving right along, okay.
So I just had Sharon Gless on the podcast.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You were the very first Cagney.
That's right.
When I was doing my research for the other interview, I was like, oh my goodness, Loretta Swit was the original in the pilot? Incredible.
That's right. And then this lovely gal replaced me.
I think her name was Meg.
Meg
Foster.
Yeah. Meg Foster. It would have been, for me, I saw it as insanity to leave MASH. It's more than a show. They're my family. These are my family. And more as the years went on, I am alone. It was a small family to begin with. When my mom and dad left, had a brother. When he passed, I really felt very alone. What happens is you have no frame of reference anymore. You can't call your brother and say, do you remember that delicatessen we used to go to when we blah, 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 blah? And he's not there to say, yeah, the name was blah, blah. Then, yeah, I remember, sis. Then there's no past that you are able to hang on to except for your own memory, but you can't get confirmation. So MASH really has always been my family. I loved doing Christine Cagney. I loved creating that character. And my brother, in fact, called, he said, the audience just loves you in uniform, But, and then when my manager was exploring the opportunity to see whether I would do it, Fox and CBS wouldn't let me out of my contract anyway. So it was moot,
Why wouldn't they let you out of your contract? But they seem to let other people out of their MASH contracts.
No, they didn't.
Well, didn't Wayne leave? And
Wayne didn't have a contract when he left.
Oh.
People don't know that's trivia. He hadn't signed on for the next year.
McLean Stevenson?
Yeah, Mac. Well, I understood why Mac left and how he convinced them to let him leave. And then, of course, they did that wonderful episode, which was so educational, I thought, for people who watch war movies where the hero never dies and the star never died. Here we had this very beloved character who dies, and the volume of mail was overwhelming. The producers, Gene and Larry, told us they were overwhelmed with the response. How dare you? Why did you do that to our favorite guy? And so forth. And actually, we're able to take the opportunity to say, take your rage out on the people who caused wars, start wars, fight wars. We didn't do it. We didn't kill Mac. Mac died because of the war, but the war killed Mac, So it had a very good foundation to use. And I think they took advantage of that. Mac went to them. He said, Mac and I were very close. And he told me that he said, I don't think I'll ever be in a show this good again. I'm sure I won't. I said, then why are you leaving, Mac? He said, I really want to be number one of the shows. He had done quite a few pilots. I said, but you are, regardless of your billing, you are. Out of the gate, Mac won the Golden Globe. How do I know that or remember it? He asked me to go to the Golden Globes and get the award for him. And I was able to tell everybody that they made a great choice and that he deserved it. He was great and so forth. But he said, no, I really want to be number one and have people react to me instead of my reacting to them, And anyway, I guess he really, after 3 years, had his mind made up to keep on going and try to get his own, in quote, his own show. I don't know. I always felt that MASH belonged to the camaraderie, the cast. It was MASH. It wasn't somebody's show. I think people responded to the group, to the cast, loved us all. And I think as much as they loved Mac, Harry came in and took it over. I mean, everybody loved Harry. So I don't know. He went into the guys and said, I really feel I won't be as good anymore if I don't leave. I want to go out, kind of quote, on my own. I'm not saying they were happy about it. I guess he convinced them that that's what he wanted to do. And I don't honestly know how long his contract was. They signed me for 7 years. I remember that because I lost my breath. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do for lunch tomorrow. And you want me to promise you to be here for 7 years. Jeez, Louise.
And who knew that wouldn't even be enough years?
Yes, that's right.
Who knew it would run 3 times longer than the actual war?
Yeah.
Did Wayne Rogers leave for a similar reason? Like he just wanted...
No, Wayne went into another show immediately. He took over what was another medical show, but he was the doctor. He was the star, and he was great.
House Calls?
Yes, thanks. Yes, that was it, sir.
Which coincidentally was the show then that Sharon Gless went on, and then that got canceled, and that allowed her to become Christine Cagney.
Well, no, she didn't go.
No, I mean, like once that show got canceled and then they didn't want Meg Foster anymore.
Meg Foster was already doing mine, but also, I guess her husband was the producer and it was a perfect marriage for them. No, so I can't say I ever watched a full episode at any time. This is some trivia for you. I have never seen the movie MASH. Is that amazing?
Well, I have some trivia for you. I've never seen it either.
Oh, no. I mean, yeah, coming from me to say that.
I know. Okay.
Doesn't matter that you didn't. I missed the hullabaloo casting. I was told they were, I don't know whether they saw them or contemplated 200 women. I know people were actually going in for meets. I was in Hawaii doing Hawaii Five-0. When I came back, my then agent, lovely man, Fred Amzell, said, I'm sending you for a a meet cute. I'm sending you to greet and meet Larry Gelbart, which put me into a state, and Gene Reynolds. And they're going to do, by the way, he said, have you seen MASH, the movie? I said, no. Oh, great. He said, well, anyway, they're going to do a series based on it. He said, but it doesn't matter because they don't have a script. You're not reading for you. There's nothing like that. They want to meet with you. And of course, subsequently, I did find out that CBS thought I was perfect for the role. I had done most of my work on TV was for CBS, as it happens. I mean, it wasn't guided or personal or what. I mean, that's how it happened. And I had done also for CBS, but at Fox, at 20th Century Fox, I had done the premiere show of Glenn Ford's series. It was very well reviewed. I did it with Darren McGavin, wonderful actor, and we got the notice and so forth. And so Fox also should be great as Margaret Houlihan or whatever. So kind of the votes were supporting me. But actually what happened, I had an offer for a movie, and Gene and Larry had dibs on me. They had met with me and so forth, and they were, I guess, in the process of reviewing who do we think we want. And my agent called them and said, we've had an offer for a movie with Olivia de Havilland, which also put me into a spin. I thought, this is a no-lose situation. Some of the dates of the shoot conflicted with the pilot. And so just out of courtesy, he said, we're probably going to take the movie because, who wouldn't? And Gene said, we were just going to call you. We have decided to go with Miss Swit. So how that whole thing evolved, isn't that? Is that a story or what? Is that good?
That's an amazing story. So once you had it, you didn't really have to see it, and then you didn't let.
Well, you took my words. People say, well, then didn't you? No, why? Who cared? Actually, Gene and Larry made kind of a point of saying that it was not like the movie. It was closer to the book in that to begin with, it was episodic. They saw, I think, it differently from the movie, whatever that means. I don't know anymore. Still, I don't know. And yes, you're right. Why would I watch it then?
Right, because all it could do is remove yourself completely from Sally Kellerman's version of
I waited from, well, I wouldn't be influenced in it, but there was no point in seeing it. Down the line for years, I was told no resemblance, actually, to many of the characters except for Gary Berghoff, who was the original Gary Berghoff.
Right. He was in both.
I guess it was a departure.
I had a question about when when Mac left the show. When they announced he's shot down over the Sea of Japan, they always say that the cast, they revealed his fate to you guys in a particular way.
Yeah, true. No, that's not urban. It's not urban legend or whatever they say. No, they didn't want us moping around for a week. They told us later this is why they decided to go off and give Gary didn't know. He read it first time on camera. There we were in the OR crying and hurting. And it wasn't that we wouldn't have done that. We're actors. But they said to precede that, to hurt all week, knowing you were going to lose him in that way. Basically, it killed any chance that he would come back. He would re-enlist you know what I mean? It was such a purposeful end. We not only lost the character, we lost our Mac, that's what I think. So they said rather than have everybody in pain for a week or 10 days, whatever it was, they decided to be kind and do it that way. It was fine. It worked. I mean, you saw our pain. That is a true story of what happened.
One of a million stories. Where did I read or did I see Prince Charles visited the set once?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We had really, what a collection of famous, wonderful people. Yes.
I was rewatching the pilot, and Bruno Kirby was in it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wonderful, wonderful guest stars. Yeah, we had so many wonderful people. My friend Mike Henry was able to come in and pick up where Beeson Carroll left off. He was not available. He played Donald Penobscot and available when Donald came back into my life for a moment. And I said, oh, please, let's try to get a hold of Tarzan, my friend who played football. And I mean, he was perfect for what Margaret would fall for, So Mike came in and he was wonderful. He was funny, and it was so great to work with him again. We had done stage play together. And anyhow, so there was that. Marcia Rod played my girlfriend from nursing school.
When they brought in your friend from nursing school, that was to kind of bring a little bit more of your fun past into the character.
Actually, it was very specific. I was standing there with one of the producers or writers, and I said, I just wish we could exploit a little more of her humor, that she's funny because she's reacting, and she's reacting in a funny way, or she's reading a line in a funny way. You get Larry Gelbart to write you a line, you're me, I said, I wish we could show that she can make a joke too. And they disappeared. Of course, they ran off and immediately wrote that episode, so that we saw through her girlfriend from nursing school, her girlfriend's eyes, that she had changed. Why wasn't she fun anymore? She used to make jokes. She used to play pranks. And the girl, and Marcia, said that she missed that. Where's my Margaret? Where did you go? And I explained that I wake up in Korea in charge of 25 nurses. I thought I couldn't do that. I had to be tough. I had to give orders, and I was in charge and so forth. So that we had this insight into Margaret, and you could watch her with a new insight. And it just continued to allow me to grow in the character, grow the character. And so that was our writers. Oh, please. Our writers were just, I worshipped our writers. But there were so many lovely, wonderful. Patrick Swayze was a star. Blythe Danner was a guest star. I'm now blocking everything because I'm trying to remember. But we had just elegant people coming in and out. And they all had so much fun. They would come back and sit around us, while we were shooting. It really was such a joyous experience. One year, Alan bought us T-shirts that everybody, the crew, everybody. And the T-shirt said, "The happiest crew in town." And indeed, I think we must have had to be, because I remember Jamie and Harry, too. They would get there really early because we actually couldn't wait to see each other and get to work. And it was a joyous experience, really a blessing.
I think that comes across. I think anytime you have an ensemble like that, you can tell when the cast is gelling. I just listened to you and Mike and on Alan Alda's podcast, Jamie and Gary, all of you were... Yeah. I don't know when you did it, but just the banter and listening to all of you talk was just like listening to
family.
Any group of old friends.
You were listening to family.
You could just tell how much you loved all each other.
You have to understand, we saw each other all the time. It wasn't just work time. Harry and his wife, Eileen, we used to meet on the weekends. We would either have lunch or they'd come over to my house and I'd cook. Same thing with everybody. I spent my holidays with Jamie and his brood, and I'd bring my mother. Jamie was my mother's favorite. Absolutely. And I'd say to her, Mom, when you say that, you need to say, next to my daughter. And she'd say, no, he's my favorite. Thank you so much, Mother. But Jamie, I think, was everybody's favorite. We were such a team. You really have that kind of extraordinary experience. There are people who will say, oh, well, you work together for a long time. You get to... No. It doesn't always work that way. And I don't tell tales, but I know for certain of instances where it didn't work that way at all. Every relationship went south, and it was not a happy experience, but it was a work experience, and it worked. They worked, but it doesn't always happen in this miraculous kind of way. I can tell you where Gary is, what he's doing, where he's going, what he's done, or Mike. If I don't talk to Mike today, I'll get a lot of email from him, or I'll send him email. Or Jamie, we talk very frequently on the phone because we have started to do some of these autograph shows together, which has been a joy because we get time to spend together, quality time. We sit down after the show and we have dinner and we laugh. And recently he had a birthday party and I gave him a little birthday lunch at his favorite Lebanese restaurant. And it was the gang. It really is difficult to explain. We always used to say, when we were talking about ourselves, we'd say, you had to be there. You had to be there. And would add, and we all were there. And we kind of still are. We're still there.
Sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation with Loretta Swit, but we got to take a quick break, and we're back. And let's get right back into the conversation. I love that it's such a tight-knit group. And I know I mentioned it earlier, but I'm really looking forward to meeting you and Jamie at the Motor City Comicon.
Yeah, wear your
It's going to
seatbelt.
be fun.
Be sure you tighten your seatbelt. No, we have worked together instances where it's just the two of us bantering and stuff, and we don't have it down to a script or anything, but we know each other so well that it just comes out funny and it's delightful, and we love doing it. We love
Right. No, absolutely. I could tell when I was listening to Alan Alda's podcast, when I was listening, just he's a hoot. He must be so funny to be around. But all of them, it's just, I'm sure you have awesome stories on all of them. Your character, you and Alan Alda, you're the two that were there from.
We were in the pilot and in the finale. There we were.
Yep.
Except Jamie was very close. He slid right in because he was hired for one day and he stayed for 11 seasons. He was on the very following season as a kind of recurring character. But by year 3, I think, he was in the cast and he was in the front credits. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah. So kind of feel the three of us were, but technically, no, Alan and I were the two in the pilot and the two who said goodbye, farewell, and amen. Alan and I never stopped appreciating the wonder of it, the kind of lucky to be us, very lucky to be us.
To this day, it's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, end episodes to a television series ever. And on top of being the most watched, I think still of all time.
Yes. That's probably never going to change, because the whole spectrum has changed. You don't even have those little Nielsen recorders or whatever it was to monitor any of that. We'll always champion Spot because...
Also, because now there's 500 channels. Nobody's...
yeah, look at that. So how could you possibly, or whatever? I read about stuff that I haven't seen yet. And it's been on, I'll see, in its third season. How come I don't know this? I mean, there's a wealth of product out there. And I'm so thrilled about that because actors deserve to work. So the more product we produce, the more work there is. And it just supports the arts. It keeps us going.
Oh, absolutely. I did read that Father Mulcahy would have been, but somebody else played him in the first. William Christopher didn't play him in the pilot.
That's correct. So, yeah, that's correct.
And then I also read just that, excuse me for digging into all this random stuff. Gary actually was in the finale, but technically only because they reused some older footage.
Yeah.
A real technical. And then you kissed Hawkeye for 38 seconds.
That's the longest kiss known to man and woman on celluloid, TV celluloid.
And how many takes did you have to take?
You silly. You're silly.
Alan's like, we better do it again. We should probably do this again.
That's a funny question. And I'm going to tell everybody that how many takes indeed. Listen, we couldn't keep holding our breath that long. Oh, God, it was so funny. But, these guys, they're like my brothers. To play kissing scenes or something like that. That's acting, In that case, were those two characters who had been antagonists and belted and discovered other qualities. And there was always a kind of love. There was a respect, always. She admired his skill, as a surgeon. There was so many things that were the undercurrent of their relationship that made it perfectly natural to explode in the longest kiss known to man. That was where they were going. And that's, I think, another thing that was so great about MASH. You would be surprised, but it was a natural evolution for those people, those characters. And that, in large part, is due to the writing, because those guys would go to their office and they would say, what if so-and-so and so-and-so, these two unlikely characters, what if they were lost behind enemy lines? Or in our case, Jamie and I, we did an episode called Birthday Girls. And it's my birthday, and he's supposed to drive me to Kimpo to catch a plane to Tokyo, where I'm going to have celebration with the brass that appreciates appreciates me. And these guys, I don't want the guys at the 407 to even know it's my birthday because they're just going to, make a mockery of my majority. So we get stranded. And I confess to him that it's not where I wanted to be on my birthday. Is I didn't know it was your birthday and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if you've seen the episode. It's beautiful. It's touching. And suddenly you see Max at his tender best. You see him care about a major who does nothing but scream at him and him around. And you see her melt when he gives her a cupcake with a candle. And so that comes from the writers. They give us the skeleton. They give us the outline. And we flesh it out, but we got to have the words. We got to have the writers. You can't do Shakespeare without Willie. So
it was just amazing. And the Writers Guild of America voted it one of the best written TV series of all times. And then you won 2 Emmys.
I did.
So cool.
I was nominated every year.
10 times, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also Tom Bosley he was on the voting team or whatever one year. And he came to me and he said, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but you've lost by 1 vote. I was so angry. He was so cute. Thank you for telling me. That's so nice. It was actually being nominated so many times was like a big deal. It was really a big deal to me. I thought that was so appreciative of how hard we work to be good, to be as excellent as we can be. So now what else is on your mind?
Let me say, you also won the Betty White Award for Actors and Others for Animals.
Yeah.
And let's use that as a segue to SwitHeart and your animal activists, because you've been doing amazing things.
Well, thank you. I do my best. We all do. People who care about sentient beings, about cruelty, about ending cruelty, ending things like puppy mills and stuff. There's so many things in crisis today. Very often you find caring for animals at the bottom of the ladder, so we have to band together and keep our stature, keep our place in caring for these animals and speak for them because they can't. So, but I love what the charity SwitHeart has been able to do. You probably know that I have that art book out, the second printing of my art book, and it's all about animals, mostly about animals, and most of the paintings are of animals, and all the proceeds from the sale of that book go into my charity, and it gives me a great sense of satisfaction, kind of like coming full circle with my artwork, which I love, and of my animals, whom I love, and doing good with the charity, which I know is a goal. So it's very fulfilling and enriching. I'm really happy about that. We now have a perfume called SwitHeart. We now have a really fully operative website that is now going to be carrying everything heart-oriented. I have these necklaces now with a heart of topaz, which is my birthstone, which is my influence on the jewelry, but they're all different. There's ruby topaz, diamond topaz, amethyst, and emerald. Given their popularity, we may extend to the rest of the birthstones, the garnet and aquamarine, etc., and so forth. So it keeps me busy. We have different projects. The entire name is SwitHeart Animal Alliance.
I got to say, the SwitHeart Animal Alliance, it's so moving that you spend so much of your time and your star power to help prevent cruelty and end animal suffering. I'm going to make it real easy for everyone. I'll put links in the show notes so they can go purchase from the SwitHeart shop. They can make a donation directly. They can check out your amazing art book. Make it as easy as possible for people to support you and the SwitHeart Animal Alliance. Oh, you know what? One more. I found this while I was diving into your books. I also found a needlepoint book that you made. I wanted to talk to you about needlepointing because my mom was an avid needlepointer.
Oh, really?
And when she passed away, I inherited most of it. And like really, really detailed beadwork, amazing stuff.
Beautiful.
I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to show you.
Wow. That's a long time ago. And I didn't sit down to do that. Doubleday approached me and said, we read a story that you did and so forth. And we were wondering if you would be willing to. And that's how that came about. It was a pretty book. It was called a needlepoint scrapbook. And it had some designs, diagrams, and so forth for the purists. But mostly each design had a little story to it. Like, for example, there was one that was Alan's favorite. Alan Alda. And it was his favorite. And I always kid him about it. He would say, I love that pillow, when he was like be at my house or something. And I'd say, Alan, you are so consistent. Every time you come to the house and you see that pillow, you say, I love that pillow. He said, maybe it's just an echo. But the thing is, there were little vignettes, little stories kind of attached to each thing. Richard Mulligan was my very, very close friend, and I did a pillow for him. And so there were like little stories attached to so it was kind of an interesting read, and had some good designs if you also were into it for that. I was thinking, see if Doubleday would like to do, they must have some left over. We then went to soft cover, and if there were any in storage, I could put them out at the Comicon. So I always think the more you can offer your people, the better.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie has a book. So far, so good.
Clever title.
Yeah. So what next? You must be exhausted. What, don't you know everything about me? Do you care to?
I know a lot about you now. I just was, needlepoint doesn't come up that often.
Yeah.
So it was like one of those things I wanted to kind of, actually painted canvases as a side job once. Anywho, so that was exciting. So, all right. So we talked. All right. So I do have one other thing we can go into. So I think this was early. You were in The Odd Couple.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh, yeah. If you want to go back that far. Well, you did Captain Kangaroo. Yeah, I did several versions of wonderful people, my two odd people. Oh, my God. E.G. Marshall, well, in California, Don Rickles and Ernie Borgnine. I mean, there was never an odder couple, and they were so brilliant. It was, I did The Odd Couple a lot.
And then I'm always fascinated. I love The Love Boat as well.
Oh, yes.
Doc Isaac and Gopher on the show.
Oh, yes.
So I saw that you've made 4 trips, at least 4 trips.
Yes, but the one they wrote for me, because of my ethnicity, my background, Polish, close enough to Russian, they wrote a kind of Ninotchka love story. Bernie Capel, I've known forever, and we work so well together. Bernie Doc on Love Boat falls in love with this Ninotchka character who, like the movie, is stern and Russian and comes in, hair pulled back, and he gets her to melt and enjoy life a little bit. But it was lovely. It was lovely. Bernie wrote me this sweet note when we finished, and it ended with, to do this again and again would not be a harsh thing. I loved that character because I was able to say things like, he wanted me to marry him and stay in the U.S. And I say to him at the end, you love this country very much, don't you? And he says, yes, very much. And I say, I too love my country very much. And it gave the audience an opportunity to realize that while we offer citizenship like this incredible gift, stop, mommy's giving an interview. While we think it's like such a gift, this Russian gal with a good job, and she was able to say, yeah, well, I love my country too. And then she's a little bit about walking through the meadows, and I loved how human they allowed her to be. Actually, that was when, I'm trying to remember if we did the pilot of The Love Boat, I believe, Richard Mulligan and I. Richard and I did the pilot for Love Boat. Funny. Oh, God, he had me laughing so. But it was wonderful. He was wonderful to work with. And then I got to work with him again in SOB. The world goes round.
The world goes round. Yeah, you've got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You've done everything. What is it like being an icon? Or is it just
I'll tell you a funny story from Jamie. When I couldn't make the show, I was running around the hotel when we were running around the airport trying to get to Tennessee. Jamie said, Loretta, I told you, he said everybody would want to talk about me and us and so forth. And he said, it took me a while, he said, to absorb being called an icon. Do you know what they call us in Tennessee? He said, we are living legends. And he's laughing. I mean, he's killing himself. He said, we are living legends. It's wonderful that you can be that much to people because it's you, because you're being you and giving of yourself, and they're getting so much out of it. Both of you and the audience are getting so much from it. That's, I guess, what I want to say. I don't know if that eventually made sense. But we love what we do. The industry is too difficult. If you didn't love what you did, you'd die,
No, it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's been awesome hanging with a living legend such as yourself.
Jamie was just overwhelmed. He was so adorable. A living legend. Oh my gosh, so you know him. He's let's go to Paco's, and he loves Toledo. This is a guy who had $1 million golf tournament for charity. I mean, Jamie is one in a million. He's really extraordinary. Anyhow.
Well, you're extraordinary also with everything.
Yeah.
Everything
You're just saying
all you do to give back. I think it's extraordinary when people use their star power and icon power and living legend power to do such good things for the world. So
you're funny. It's really the only time being a celebrity, let's say, it's the only time it really has a good meaning, a real meaning. That's, if you can use it, if you have a platform to speak up, do good, stand for good and advise well, or you know what I mean? That's when it really, that's where it really means something.
Amazing everything. You earned every ounce of that Betty White award. And you've won a million awards. We didn't even cover, if everyone wants to dive in, we didn't even scratch the surface.
Yeah, that's why we have to do a reunion. We'll have the first Loretta Jeff reunion.
We'll definitely do that.
Okay, we need to, it's up to you. You got to start working on that and, put together a little program and stuff, and we'll see. Okay?
We'll put it together. Maybe I'll try and reach out to the Comicon people or tell them to have me lead. I'm sure you're going to do a panel. Right,
no, not always. We don't always. We'll see. It's up to, it depends. It really is. There's other things coming in. So we'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, we'll figure it out.
I'm reading what I think is going to be a very good script if it happens. I really am liking it. So I have to do that for the rest of the day. And you have your project to work on now, the reunion.
Right. And if you need me to read lines with you, just call me back.
Yeah,
later.
I know you can't.
No
I have to read it. I don't have it. They called and offered and they want availability. But before I said, yes, I'm available. But she said, if we say you're available, they're going to want you to do it. You have to make sure you want to do it. So please read it. So that's where I am right now.
Got it. Cool. Well, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with me. This was so much fun.
It was fun. My friend who helps me out, she's really like my right arm on social media. She helps me at the shows. You'll meet her. She says her little nieces say, you don't lose, you learn. That's like my mantra, lose, you learn. And that's how you keep going forward. If you keep learning, there's no end to what you can achieve. So off I go towards my goal.
I can't think of a finer way to end it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend. God bless.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye. How amazing was Loretta Swit? I know, right? So cool. So many great stories. Definitely check out the SwitHeart Animal Alliance, her webpage, SwitHeart.org. You can order her amazing watercolor book and a whole lot more. Support the SwitHeart Animal Alliance to prevent cruelty and help end animal suffering. Such an easy way to do a little good. All right. Well, with the interview over, it can only mean one thing. That's right. It's time for another trending hashtag from the family of hashtags at Hashtag Roundup. Download the free, always free, doesn't cost a penny app from the iTunes App Store or Google Play Store. Follow us on Twitter at Hashtag Roundup. Tweet along with us, and one day one of your tweets may show up on a future episode of Classic Conversations. Fame and fortune await you. The hashtag for this episode is hashtag Animal Action Movies, brought to us by Weekly Humorist, a weekly game on the Hashtag Roundup app. This is a hilarious mashup of animals, obviously inspired by Loretta's amazing work with animals, and action movies. Hashtag Animal Action Movies, the ultimate animal action movie pun game in the world. All right, tweet your own hashtag Animal Action Movies. Tweet, tag us at Jeff DeWashkin Show on Twitter. I'll show you some Twitter love. In the meantime, here's some hashtag Animal Action Movies tweets for your inspiration. Fistful of dolphins. The herd locker. Starship Groupers, Apocalypse Cow, the French Bulldog Connection. These are amazing hashtag animal action movies tweets. Let's keep it rolling with Last Action Heron, Jurassic Pork, roar, oink oink, The Lizard of Oz, Fly Hard, hashtag animal action movies. You never saw it coming, did ya? No Cougars for Old Men, Guardians of the Galapagos, Lord of the Ring-Tailed Lemurs, Mortal Wombat, The Fast and the Furriest, and our final hashtag animal action movies tweets from Ducks Till Dawn. Quack, 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 quack. Whoa, there we go. Those were awesome hashtag animal action movies tweets. All retweeted at Jeff Jaworski Show on the Twitter. Go show those tweets some love, some Twitter love. Well, can you believe it? With the hashtag game over, with the interview over, that can only mean one thing. Oh my goodness, episode 164 has come to an end. Cannot believe it. It has flown by. I want to thank my special guest, Loretta Swit, for spending her 50th anniversary of MASH with me. And of course, I want to thank all of you for coming back week after week. It means the world to me, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Classic Conversations. If you like what you heard, don't be shy and give us a follow on your favorite podcast app. Also, why not go ahead and tell all your friends about the show? You strike us as the kind of person that people listen to. Thanks in advance for spreading the word, and we'll catch you next time on Classic Conversations.